Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about today is how to use DNN for multilingual websites. Living in Canada, we're a bilingual country, so a lot of the websites that I do have to be both English and French. So I've ended up had quite a bit of experience with this, and over the years, it's got easier and easier to bilingual. What I usually do is I'll develop the website in the sort of out of the box uh, US English form, and then I'll transform it over. So I'll go through some of the important steps here. If I go to site settings, and then I go to languages, I see that it's English USA. So the first thing I have to do is I have to add English Canada and French Canada. So first, and I will find English Canada, and I've added that. And then I add on top of it, I add French Canada. Scroll, scroll, scroll. There we are. Now we have a website with English US. The next thing I do is I don't want the English US, so I change the site default to English Canada, and then I save that. And then I go up to here to the English USA, and I tell the website that I'm going to disable the US English. So there we go. Save that. We have the American, the US English is disabled. The primary language of the website is English Canada, and French is the secondary language. And you'll notice now the URL is my URL that I had before, but with an en-ca up here. Now, the next thing I'd want to do is I want to make all the content localizable. So I click on this, and then I do save once again. So now now the next step is I am going to make a French version of every page. So if I click on enable localization, and then I say make every page that's on the website French language equivalent. So I say enables, and this works really great now. It used to be sometimes this transition where you're creating all these pages didn't always work terrifically. So that's good. And now this website is a demo site that I create. This is my standard demo site. It has an old style DNN page. It has a couple of too sexy pages. So if I now this is a very important any of my too sexy stuff, and I go to the app settings, which there we are, and I click on language. And even though I've made the website English and French, I have to tell Too Sexy that there is English and French. So that's a very important step. And so now I'll just, you notice now I have EN in my, I've created my theme so that it shows the languages. So here we are, we have English and French. But there's a little bit of a trick here in that, okay, first I can go in here and we have the English stuff and we have the French. It's all grayed out. So I'm going to make it so I'm going to change the title of this guy to the French equivalent, profusion. And then I'm going to likewise translate all of the text here. Too Sexy works really great with multi-language sites. I do save and close. So now we see this is my French page, in fact, and here's my English page. Now, there's a trick here that you have to keep in mind is that you think, this is, I'll just get another browser over here and I will refresh it. And if I go to, say, this page here, it's only showing English. And that's because when you do the bulk translation of all the pages, it leaves the permission so that that page is private. So you have to go to each of the pages in your French side. So here I am at this one to permissions. I change it to all users, and then I type save. And now I'll go grab my other where I'm not logged in. And if I refresh, I see now English and French. And so that's it. So the only things to keep in mind, and every now and then I miss these steps, are that you tell too sexy that you have the languages that you are having the website in, and also that you do the permissions so that the generated pages. And then also another important thing here is if I go back to here to English, if I added in something else on this page in English, I have to make sure it's visible in French. So let's say if I don't know, I'll do something like this, and I'll just add I'll add a content, and do this down here, and I'll just make it some stuff there. And now I put it in the English part, but if I go here to pages and I look at the settings and the localization, you see this new thing only exists in English. To make it also exist, I have to click here and then update the localization. So that now makes it so that that module that I added on the English page also exists on the French. So that's pretty much it. So as I said, my usual procedure is to start with the English website first, lay out all the structure, the basic content, add the languages, then start with the translation. So that's it. So any immediate questions, or shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, and a quick question.
Yeah.
What do you do if you add a new page?
Oh, new page. Yeah. So let's say if I go to here and I go to here and we'll say add a page and I'll say new page and then new page. And I have a theme that I created for this. I'll go add the page. There it is. Now, if I go to here, the page settings, I go to localization. It only shows up in English. I say add the missing language. Boom, there it is. And if I hit the update localization, it creates the French for me. So let's say if I do this, there we are, continue. And then, so there we are, new page. And if I refresh my page, we see now we have English and French. And probably, I'm almost positive that it's going to set it so that again, we have to be wary of the permissions, that when you do use when you localize, create something for the other language, it's always private initially. So I do that, and then we'd be great. So then if I drag over this browser, we see that we have this, and we have this this thing here. So oh, did I not make, hang on, look at what I've done here. I forgot to make my home page. So yeah, I haven't changed the other pages. So if you have a huge site, it means, going through all the pages, but that's it. As I said, it works really well. It used to be when you do when the bulk translation was to set up all the second languages. It used in the earlier versions of DNN, it had a tendency to sometimes get stuck, and then you go, "Oh, what do I do now?" You see refresh, try it again. But I found with the later versions of version, 9.13.9 or 9.13.10 or the 10 dot whatever, it works really well. It's flawless.
I have an additional tip. Um, so your presentation was about content mainly, right? But the
Yeah.
controls like login, log off, all users, that's what we usually call like static localization, things that are not typed in, but are phrasing of controls. There's no official French Canada language pack, and the NN is really well made because there's options for fallbacks. So you could install the French language pack from France, which is one of the official ones, but not enable the language. But that allows you to do your French Canadian to fall back on the French from France. So then you almost don't need to translate anything unless it's different in Canada, which is a pretty cool feature that I only know DNN does that, which is very cool.
So you install the language pack, but don't enable it as a language for the website? Is that what
Right.
you're
So
saying?
just that you have the
Oh,
resources and you know
oh,
where you set up your language,
yeah.
you have a drop down for fallback. So instead of taking the English
Oh,
fallback, you can take the French fallback.
okay. Yeah.
So then you get everything translated for free, like all the static controls. If there's a term that would be different in French Canadian than French France, you only have to deal with that, but everything else is French out of the box this way, which is pretty cool.
It is English Canada complete? Obviously, English USA is, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we don't publish an official English Canada package, so just falls back to English US, right? So when
yeah,
you do French Canada, you can have it fall back to the French language pack instead of the English one.
yeah. I learn something new every day.
Hmm.
So I will cease sharing.
I have a question for you, Steve.
Yeah.
Um, are those modules shared between the English and the French pages? Is it a share
Um,
or is it a
you talk
separate
about
copy of each module?
the no that the the too sexy stuff has basically the data structures have it so that it's just one module that has the and has the language has the data for both. So yeah, I think that is more or less correct. So it you don't it doesn't now if I add a too sexy thing to one page, it doesn't automatically propagate to the French. It's ready to do that, but you have to do the thing with moving the module or having the module become instantiated.
That's the fun part about the localization because yeah, Too Sexy does its own thing and it's perfect and it works fine. If we go into more general modules for DNN, there's two buckets. Either the module supports localization, in which case you can have the same instance on all languages because the module handles it. But if you install a module that was not made to support localization, then you can clone it and you have a separate instance per language, all being independent of each other, which is also a nice way of doing it in DNN to support both.
Yeah, we did one recently. I was really impressed when I got to the point, and I was confused at first. And in your page settings, you end up with literally, in a way, a page for each language if you want it that way. So you can actually end up with the same module that's English, and it can have on the French page the same module again that shows French. So you do actually have a way to get to the finish line. What's really nice about Too Sexy is It treats all content as items and entities, and it manages for you. It goes and looks at your URL parameter or whatever with the language choice, and it will switch the entities that plug into your view. It's really cool how it does it. And anyhow, just wanted to add on to that.
I usually, guys, when I do the multilingual sites, like Steve mentioned, I always take care of language first. I try to have it 100% ready,
Right.
and then move to the other one. But one thing that I always try not to forget about, it's the sitemaps priority. Because on the second language, you're gonna go 0.5 on priority level for all pages. Even though on the default language you have 1, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6 on certain pages, all of the pages are going to go 0.5 once you do the second language. So, SEO, subject, just take a close look at the sitemap priority on the second or third language after you publish that.
That could save a lot of time.
Yeah, especially when the client complains because they don't see any results. So,
Also,
go ahead.
I was just going to say one more thing about us arrogant Americans and Americans, and we only speak English. We did a site for a Canadian organization, and I just wanted to point out that you need to think through what is going to be the default language ahead of time, because we did one where we did English US, not realizing that it should be English Canada, and it was pointed out afterwards, and be quite a bit of effort to fix it, but we got away with not having to fix it. But if anyone else runs down that road, make sure as you start the project, you make the decisions and talk with the client about which language is the 100% default and properly fleshed out.
Yeah. In my case,
Especially that you
Spanish,
can change it.
yes. In my case, I have, there are a lot of countries that speak Spanish, right? So what I do is that I always ask the client which flag they want to be displayed on, because I have a tourism company in Guatemala, and they wanted to have the Guatemala flag be displayed instead of the Spain flag, right? So that little question, like Jeremy said, can save you a lot of time afterwards. That's right, man.